we are witnessing polling history from Donald Trump. Some of the worst numbers we have ever seen. It is almost impressive how bad they are, and it is more impressive how quickly he has gotten them so low. Democrats, of course, are furious. Independents are turning against him, but so are his own MAGA Republicans. And it just got worse because one of his elected MAGA Republicans just gave him some of the worst possible news Donald Trump could imagine for 2026. That was Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we are going to get into the announcement that she is making. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, first we have to start with the polling news that gives us all the context for why it is so bad.
Up. You know what else? Bret Baier had a beautiful graphic. I might frame it on my wall that had the approval ratings for the last 6 presidents for the first 100 days. Donald Trump is now the lowest. He beat himself. So he was at 45% in the first 100 days of Trump 1.0, and now he's at 44%. His economic ratings have gone down by 20%. The American public don't trust him on cost of living, inflation, all the things he was hired to do. They know the tariffs are a tax on them. The CEOs of Walmart and Target and Home Depot have to go into his office and beg him to stop so that the shelves won't be empty. There are containers coming from China that can't get here because of these tariffs, 145%. Or maybe it's 50%.
What does this have to do with the Maryland dad?
Right. It has to do with what Trump is doing. And there are all of these GOP-appointed judges that are ruling against him, saying a path of perfect lawlessness, brazen example of retaliation.
Put it this way, you're just actually undoing your whole point, Jessica.
No, I'm not.
Because they are focusing on this guy who basically every day we find out that I don't know how he could be underwater. He might be under 50%, but he's not underwater on immigration.
Fine. Reuters, YouGov, Quinnipiac, just honestly,
he's winning on deportation. You admitted that.
But
right.
2-1 that this guy should be returned. Listen,
keep defending a gangbanger all you want.
But you're saying they should emphasize the economy. That's what you're saying.
I understand that you want me to try to unravel everything that I said. The economy is what drives people to the polls. He now only has a 27% rating with Hispanic voters because he's not focused on the economy and their costs haven't gone down.
So are you saying he's going to have a hard time being reelected in 2028?
Right.
Well, he's wearing, Eric Trump is wearing a hat that says Trump 2028
This is very
today,
similar when Ronald Reagan made titanic changes in the economy. Initially, people panicked.
Donald Trump.
You did. But he's actually doing just as titanic
people who
moves.
can afford to sit there and say...
At least he's leading the country. Your guy wasn't even present.
Right, we'll see. Big, beautiful...
So Donald Trump's polls, even on the Fox propaganda outlet, are unsurprisingly they're in the toilet. They're not doing too well. And why would they be? Donald Trump is destroying the economy. We're in constant chaos. Donald Trump's cabinet is putting us in danger. RFK is a madman. Pete Hegseth is a drunk idiot. I don't know what Tulsi Gabbard is doing most days, but it's probably not great. And so with all that in mind, 2026, not looking very promising. But one of the states that it potentially could be, Georgia, Donald Trump just got some really bad news. And that starts with what John Ossoff said right here.
Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is someone who is reported to have traded stocks not long before Donald Trump said the first comment he made that sent the stock market back up, indicating he was going to go softer in this trade war. And so there's reason to be suspicious all around about the possibility of insider trading here.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, when these members of Congress and political allies of the president have perfect market timing. I mean, Lawrence, your viewers no doubt recall that in 2020, I unseated a supposedly unbeatable Republican incumbent senator here in Georgia, and a big part of that was COVID stock trading. Right? He was among those senators who was dumping stocks and buying up shares in medical manufacturers around the time that Congress was getting briefed on the COVID pandemic while telling the rest of the country everything would be fine.
It seems like John Ossoff would be really, really well suited to run against Marjorie Taylor Greene. He just hammered that message on her, but that would never happen. Marjorie Taylor Greene would never run for Senate, would she? No, because she'd lose. She would never do that because she'd lose, but she would. Well, actually, if you're looking for some positive news and a story that'll make you laugh, It's this one right here. Marjorie Taylor Greene reportedly mulling 2026 Senate run and thinks she would crush all but one challenger. Marjorie Taylor Greene is reportedly considering a run for the U.S. Senate in Georgia next fall, as long as she does not have to face Republican Governor Brian Kemp. Citing two unnamed sources familiar with her thinking, the right-wing outlet reported that Greene is evaluating a potential campaign for the seat currently held by Senator Jon Ossoff. The sources indicated that Greene's decision might hinge on whether Kemp, who is wrapping up his second term, chooses to enter the race. One source said that Greene believes she would crush the Republican primary field if Kemp declines to run against Ossoff. In February, Greene told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution she was not ruling out a run for governor of Georgia or challenging Ossoff. The congresswoman, who was first elected in 2020, reportedly believes her national profile and her relationship with Trump could boost her if she chooses to run for Senate. Now, I am not a gambling man, but this is not a bet, because it is a surefire win. If Marjorie Taylor Greene enters and then wins the Republican Senate primary in Georgia, Jon Ossoff will win by all of the points. He'll win by all of the points. I know that it is a red state, but not really. It's a purple state. Joe Biden won it. Kamala Harris kept it close. Raphael Warnock won it in 2022, won it in 2020. So did Jon Ossoff. So, of course, it's tight. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have to be joking. That would be handing Jon Ossoff just the easiest Senate race of maybe anyone's life. I think Jon Ossoff would have a better chance to win that race than Elizabeth Warren running for re-election. Or like Bernie Sanders. Pick the bluest state you can possibly imagine. I feel like those are the margins that Jon Ossoff would put up against an absolute freak show. And that would be such a damaging blow to Donald Trump trying to hold on to the Senate, to all of MAGA, to give Jon Ossoff, one of the best senators and communicators we have, another 6 years. Man, that would be amazing. It's because no one likes Marjorie Taylor Greene. Sure, she's popular with the freak show crowd, but with normal people, not too much. And this reporting shows exactly why.
Now, I'm putting this video out just to make it aware for people that are going to watch this video that a reporter with a mask on in 2025 is arguing for an overpriced, ridiculous piece of property that Nancy Pelosi herself wanted a $200 million earmark to continue to fund.
That was Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier this month. She did put that video out on social media showing her scolding a journalist for wearing a mask. The journalist in question was Shira Stein. She's the Washington correspondent for the San Francisco Chronicle. We should point out she wears a mask because she's immunocompromised. In fact, she had a stroke in 2022. Stein told Marjorie Taylor Greene that, and Greene apologized after she told her that. But for some reason, that apology was not included in what Marjorie Taylor Greene posted online. And this is not the only time that this journalist has been singled out by a politician for wearing a mask recommended by medical authorities. Shira Stein's with me now. First of all, let's just explain to people, you come on the lead, you don't wear a mask. Why are you not wearing a mask now, but when you're out in Congress or the White House, you do?
I do in some situations. I don't in others. It really depends on the amount of people that are in a room. This room is pretty wide. Not very many people in here. But it's not about the mask, Jake. What happened is Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to put this video out online without the full truth, to show her audience that she was anti-mask, but not to show the part where she apologized for my health struggles, and not the part where she said that she respected the fact that I wore a mask because I'm immunocompromised and I had a stroke. And that's sort of the issue writ large, is sort of what is the truth, what are the facts that people are getting. And you also wrote about, and we should note that we asked you to come on because you wrote about this for the San Francisco Chronicle. You also wrote about President Trump singling you out last month for wearing a mask in the Oval Office. Let's play that moment. Return education control to the states. How would you handle it if a state like California were to put in place education policy?
I haven't seen a mask in so long. You're wearing a mask. So nice of you. I haven't seen anybody wearing a mask in a long time. It's good. You feel more comfortable, right? Yes. Good. That's good.
So that in itself, okay, but the rapid response account for the White House posted that exchange, and then they added 2 laughing emojis, like they're What was the response when Marjorie Taylor Greene and the White House rapid response, which I actually blame for this more than I do President Trump, what was the response from the public to this?
I got a few people who sort of, the typical comments about, liberal, wearing a mask, you must be a Democrat, etc. But I think I did get a good amount, especially when this piece published on the Chronicle's website, a good amount of people who are saying, thank you for talking about this. Thank you for showing that it's not about the mask. It is about attacks on journalism. It is about attacks on individual journalists, not just folks who work at CNN or the Associated Press and the New York Times, but journalists who work at local newspapers like I do, journalists who cover school boards, who have never set foot in Washington maybe, are being attacked. And the truth is not getting out there to what people are hearing. They're hearing this sort of cut off version of what Marjorie Taylor Greene put out. They're not hearing what actually happened, the full scope of the interaction.
It's so weird to me because if Marjorie Taylor Greene, after you explained to her, hey, I am very young and I had a stroke in 2022 because I'm immunocompromised, and she showed a moment of humanity, the idea that they would then go and post something without that moment of humanity because the humanity, they would think, I'm guessing, exposes weakness or whatever, as opposed to the meanness or the cruelty, it's just so telling. Like that they would not post the moment where she's actually like, oh, I'm so sorry.
I mean, I sort of expected it, honestly, when I walked away from the interaction. And this was, to my memory, the first time I had ever interacted with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I have not had the reason to talk to her before. She's from Georgia. I work for the San Francisco Chronicle. There's never been a good reason. But in this situation, she decided that it was worth it, knowing the risk, knowing that I and several other reporters had recorded it, that the audio would probably end up out there, thinking that her audience would still support her or would only see the information that she put out there.
You see this in the context of attacks on journalism, and I agree with that, but I also think this is about how a certain segment of our society thinks it's cool to be mean. Which I really worry about for our society going forward, and I really worry what our kids are learning.
It's that. It's also, how can we agree upon anything if we don't agree on a basic set of truth and facts?
And decency. Shira Stein, you're always welcome here, with or without mask.
She is an awful human being. Please run for Senate. It would be so funny. Please, it would be so funny. We are certainly going to be monitoring that. And the comedy that hopefully ensues when Marjorie Taylor Greene gets her congressional clock cleaned, if we can call it that. She would get beaten by like at least 10 points, right? It would be hilarious. We're going to keep you updated. And if you want to stick around for that and support this channel doing so, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.